Okay, let's dive deep into a case from Assiut, Egypt. The year is 2014. Picture this: an industrial zone, late afternoon. A successful factory owner, Mr. Kamal, he's leaving work probably around 4 p.m. He makes his usual call home, says he's on his way, asks what's for dinner. A perfectly normal day. But then, 5 p.m. rolls around. He's not home. His family starts to worry. Calls go unanswered. His phone, it's off. Completely dead. Panic starts creeping in, both at home and back at the factory. Then, around 6:00 p.m., a call comes in. Not from the kidnappers, not yet. It's a local farmer. He saw something. Something chilling. He describes a pickup truck, a heavy one, cutting off Mr. Kamal's car on that quiet road. 4 men, masked, armed to the teeth. They dragged Mr. Kamal out at gunpoint, forced him into their truck, and one of them actually drove off in Kamal's own car. Then they just disappeared. The immediate realization for everyone, especially the police, this wasn't random. This was organized, professional, and abduction.
Absolutely. The moment you hear masked, armed, pickup truck, victim's car taken, that screams pre-planning. This wasn't a crime of passion or simple robbery. It was a targeted acquisition, like you said. They knew who he was, his routine. The police suspected maybe a business dispute at first, but the level of execution, it pointed to something much bigger. They knew his route, the timing. It implies surveillance, significant surveillance.
Right, and then comes the waiting. 2 full days, just silence. Imagine the agony for the family. No calls, no demands. Mr. Kamal's phone still dead, nothing.
And that silence, you have to understand, it was almost certainly deliberate, calculated. It's a psychological tool. Let the fear build, let the desperation peak. It maximizes their leverage before they even make contact.
Then day 3, around 9:00 p.m., the phone rings. It's a foreign number. The message is brief, terrifyingly simple. Mr. Kamal is alive, but the price for his life is 20 million Egyptian pounds. And then, click. Line dead. The phone used for the call. Immediately shut down, permanently.
20 million. That figure is staggering. It confirms this wasn't just professional. It was audacious. They weren't guessing. They knew exactly what the family could potentially access. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was almost like a corporate takeover bid, but, horrifically criminal.
Police traced that call fast. It came from Suez. But by the time they get resources moving that way, nothing. The phone's gone, discarded. A ghost signal.
And that massive ransom. It triggered something for the investigators. It connected dots. This sounded like the work of a group they'd heard whispers about, the Akaaber Gang, the Aristocrats gang. Because, look, secret intelligence started surfacing. Other wealthy families, they'd faced similar kidnappings, huge ransoms, never less than 10 million EGP. But here's the key. None of them reported it. They paid, quietly, directly to the gang.
Wow. So this gang built their entire model around the victims not going to the police.
Precisely. Their success depended on discretion, fear, and the desire to avoid publicity, maybe even further danger. That was their shield. They operated in the shadows cast by the victim's own silence. How many cases went completely unreported? We might never know. This group was operating on a different level entirely.
So the police are now dealing with this highly professional, almost invisible organization. The family, now working closely with the police, waits. Another call comes. It's a new number this time. They follow police instructions, ask for 2 more days to gather the immense sum. The caller agrees. But he gives a chilling warning. The next call will be the final one, make or break.
And the trace on this second call doesn't come from Suez. It comes from Manufia province.
Okay, hold on. Suez, then Manufia. These aren't neighboring towns. They're deliberately crossing major provincial lines for each call.
Exactly. That's not accidental. It shows incredible operational security. They're using geography as a weapon against tracking. They understand police procedures, how triangulation takes time, how jurisdictional boundaries can slow things down. Mobility and disinformation are paramount. They're making themselves impossible to pin down.
And how are they achieving this constant movement, this logistical freedom? We'll get back to that. Because while one police team is chasing these phantom calls across Egypt, another team is doing old-school detective work back in Assiut. They start digging into the factory personnel, any grudges, any threats, and a name surfaces, Atef, a former driver at the factory.
Right, the disgruntled employee angle. Classic.
Right. Turns out Mr. Kamal had fired Atef after a big argument. Witnesses said Atef left furious, muttering threats, a look of pure revenge on his face. It's a solid lead, a clear motive. But there's a problem, a big one. Atef hadn't been seen in Assiut for a long, long time. His current whereabouts, completely unknown. They couldn't link him directly to this crime.
So you have this high-tech chase happening across provinces, and simultaneously a very low-tech search for a guy who vanished ages ago. It's almost like Atef is a convenient distraction, whether intentional or not, keeps some resources tied up locally.
The tension keeps mounting. The third call comes in, predictably, a third phone number. This time, the trace leads to the eastern province, Sharqiya. Miles away again, the family confirms. We have the 20 million. The caller says, okay, delivery instructions will come tomorrow. This is it.
And here, after all this meticulous planning, all the movement, the disposable phones, they make a mistake. A tiny, almost unbelievable error.
The original phone. The one used for that very first call from Suez. The one that should have been destroyed or deep-sixed ages ago. It flickers back on, just for a moment. But long enough. It pings a tower in Ain Shams, a district in Cairo. Police lock onto that signal instantly. They get an exact address. And guess who lives there?
It has to be Atef.
Atef.
Yeah.
The disgruntled ex-driver who supposedly vanished.
Wow. All that sophistication, the masks, the weapons, the province hopping, the burner phones, undone by the lowest level guy forgetting rule number 1. Destroy the evidence.
Exactly. Police move in on the Ain Shams address. They arrest Atef. Initially, he denies everything. Total stonewall. But under pressure, he breaks. He confesses. Yes, he was the communicator. He made all 3 ransom calls. His job was to keep moving Suez, Manufia, Sharqiya, constantly feeding the police outdated location data.
But he must have known more than just his own role, right? He was the link.
He was. He gives up the bosses, the masterminds, 2 names, Sameh and Maged, and he explains his connection. How did he know these major criminals? How did he have the freedom to travel constantly? He was a driver for their legitimate business.
Ah, the cover operation. What was it?
Fruits and vegetables, a large-scale distribution business. Think big trucks, multiple warehouses across different regions.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect cover. Necessary goods, constant movement of large vehicles, legitimate reasons to be anywhere, anytime. Warehouses provide storage, meeting places. The crime wasn't separate from the business. It was embedded within its logistics.
Atef gives them the final piece, the main warehouse. It's in Sadat City. That's where Sameh and Maged often operate. And almost like clockwork, a 4th call comes in to the family, presumably to arrange the drop-off. Where is it traced to?
Sadat City. Has to be.
Directly to Sadat City. Confirmation. Police raid the warehouse complex, this farm/distribution hub. They arrest 2 men identified as Sameh Yusuf and Maged Khalaf.
And these guys probably put on a big show, right? Us involved. We're just humble fruit traders. This warehouse is busy. Anyone could have used it.
That's pretty much exactly their story. Confident, calm, denying everything, relying on their cover story. But the police run their IDs. Standard procedure. And the results come back. The IDs are fake. Expertly forged, but fake. And their real identities, well, they're shocking.
Let me guess. Not their first rodeo.
Not even close. Sameh Yusuf is actually Hamada wanted. Facing 8 prior life sentences, that's over 170 years for murder, armed kidnapping, 13 outstanding arrest warrants.
8 life sentences already. How is he even operating?
And Maged Khalaf. His real name is Nabil Morsi. He's facing 7 prior life sentences.
7. So these aren't just criminals. They're escaped masterminds who completely reinvented themselves.
Exactly. Hardened, experienced, high-level criminals who just vanished from the system using forged identities and a brilliant cover. And then comes the final, mind-bending twist. Where did they find Mr. Kamal?
Okay, based on the calls. Suez, Manufia, Sharqiya, Sadat City.
Nope. They found him safe and sound, hidden in a secret compartment in one of their warehouses back in Assiut.
Wait, what? He never left Assiut.
He never left the province. He was likely held less than a mile from where he was originally abducted.
So all that movement, Suez, Manufia, Sharqiya, that incredible logistical effort we were analyzing.
Pure theater. A massive, deliberate misdirection campaign. They sent the police on a wild goose chase across half of Egypt while the victim was hidden right under their noses.
That's genius in a terrifying way. They weren't just managing physical security, they were managing the entire investigative narrative.
So let's unpack the Akaaber Gang strategy. Hamada and Nabil, these career criminals, they clearly realized traditional crime was too risky for the potential reward.
Right, so they adapted. Starting around 2009, they built a whole new system. Step 1, flawless new identities through high-level forgery. Step 2, create a legitimate front. And not just any front, but one involving logistics, fruit and vegetable distribution. This gave them the trucks, the warehouses, the reason to move freely. Step 3, target selection. Only the very wealthy. Ransom starting at 5, maybe 10 million EGP minimum. Why? Because those families were more likely to pay quietly to avoid scandal or further danger. Their silence was part of the business model.
And it worked. For 4 years, from 2009 to 2014, they operated completely undetected. This team, probably just 6 core members, the 2 bosses, 4 executors, like the ones who grabbed Kamal. Their estimated total earnings from these unreported kidnappings, somewhere potentially over 100 million Egyptian pounds.
An invisible, highly profitable criminal enterprise running parallel to a legitimate business. And their downfall wasn't a strategic blunder in the field.
No, it was one small human error by Atef turning that old phone back on. That combined with one crucial decision by Mr. Kamal's family. They didn't stay silent. They went to the police immediately and cooperated fully. They broke the pattern the gang relied on.
It really illustrates how sophisticated criminal groups evolve. When one method becomes too dangerous, they don't just quit, they innovate. They build structures that mimic legitimate corporations to insulate themselves.
Think about that cover they chose. Fruit and vegetable distribution. It's essential, it's constant, it needs trucks moving everywhere, warehouses in multiple locations, relatively unquestioned access across borders and checkpoints. It makes you pause and wonder, doesn't it? What other completely ordinary, essential logistical operations that we see every day might be providing cover for something far more sinister? What common side are we all just overlooking?